I'm just like, girl, we get it. He's a white guy with green eyes. Let's move on. There's nothing more that turns a girl on in these dystopian books than a man with scars on his back. The way he speaks reminds me of the character Neville Papperman from iCarly. There's too much testosterone in this book right now. Literally. These teenagers are way too horny to be running a country. Overall, this book had me screaming in such a bad way. I'm pretty sure like 5 mental breakdowns like in a single book would be fine. I feel like I'm just too old to be here. Like, am I too old to be here? If they can adapt Uglies on a $20 budget, I'm pretty sure they could adapt this book series. Hey book lovers, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mar, and if you read the title, you know exactly what you're here for. I am finally doing the famous 24-hour reading challenge that pretty much every booktuber has done, and for the longest time I've wanted to do this video. It's just I couldn't find the right time to do it because it takes a lot of mental preparation before you go into it. I'm not going to do the 24 hours straight just because I don't want to mess up my sleep schedule, and also it takes a lot of like physical toll on your body. I don't think I can commit fully to the 24 hours straight. So what I'll be doing is I'll be doing the 12 and 12, so just splitting it into 2 days. We are also going to be reading the Shatter Me series by Tahereh Mafi. I've read this first book already. Do I remember what happens in the series? Kind of. Like, I remember bits and pieces of it. I have been wanting to read this series like straight since like the beginning of the year, but I just also haven't had the time to do it. I originally was going to do it back in May when I was on a flight to South Korea, and I was like so ready for it, and then my flight got delayed by like 6 hours, and then by the time I got onto the flight I was like so just done with life that I just ended up not reading. I read like the novella after this, and then I was like, you know what, I'm done. I'm not reading anything. So that video, that did not go as planned. And so for this video, we are going to make up for it. We are going to be reading the Shatter Me series. I don't expect this video to be spoiler free. So if you haven't read the Shatter Me series and you don't want to be spoiled, then you can probably click away. But also this book has been out since 2011. So that is the plan for this video. We are going to be reading for 12 hours today, then 12 hours tomorrow probably. And yeah, it is currently 9:45 right now. So I'm planning on getting started at 10 o'clock. I just got the second book of Shatter Me up on my iPad here. And I believe I got about 25% of the way in to the book Unravel Me, which is the second book, and I was reading that on the plane. I had to go back a few chapters because I just could not remember what was happening, but now I remember what's sort of happening in this book. So this is where the spoilers are starting, so if you haven't read this book series or you don't want spoilers, click away. I'm just going to talk about what I remember from this book. In the first book, the main character Juliet meets Adam, and I forget all of the names for the political things, so I have to go back and refresh my brain. I'll just go through all the main characters that I remember. So there's Juliet, the main character, then there's Adam, then there's Aaron Warner, who, fun fact, I thought was a real person because was getting into book talk and all of that. I kept getting all these Aaron Warner like edits pop up on my For You page that I literally thought that like this man was a real person, because like people kept referring to him as if he were a real person, but no. Took me a while actually to figure that he was a fictional character, so I look like a fool. But anyways, there's the whole Aaron Warner thing. Then there's Kenji Kishimoto. And then there are other characters that like aren't as important right now. In the first book, all I remember is that Juliet is put in like in an insane asylum, and then that's where she meets Adam, who becomes her roommate. And then her and Adam get out of that insane asylum, and then it turns out that Aaron's father runs this government. Aaron's in charge of whatever goes on with the soldiers and all that. Wow, this is me. Can you tell I read so much dystopian as a kid? Because like this is not going well for me. Oh gosh. There's a whole thing with Aaron, and then Juliet and Adam have this romance thing going on. They escape the place that they kept, where they took Juliet to and all of that. They're on the run, and then they join this like resistance thing with Kenji. This is just like what's in my brain. So it's like I understood the plot. I just didn't understand the little details. I understood the plot of it. I know where we are. And then I missed like the most important thing is that like Juliet was kept in this insane asylum because she has like these special powers, and pretty much it's a whole touch her and you die situation, but like literally like if you touch her you will die. She will like burn you up or something. Whoever touches her dies a painful death, pretty much is what happens. And so she meets Adam, and she learns that Adam is like the only person that isn't affected by her power. Like she can touch him and like nothing will happen. But at the same time, we learn that Aaron can also touch her. So that's a whole other thing. But for right now, her and Adam are pretty much like going through it. And then in the beginning of this book, we learn the reasoning for why Adam can touch Juliet. And that reason is that he has this power where it's more so like it's not that he can't feel her pain, it's more like he can suppress it. So his power is fighting against hers. But the thing is, because his power is working hard to repress this power, it's pretty much making him physically exhausted. I'm at chapter 15, and Adam is in the medical wing because he touches Juliet. Things don't go well. And like when I was first getting into this book series, I was taken aback by Adam, because I was like, Adam? Who the heck is Adam? Like, I swear nobody talks about this man. So now I'm just like, every time he's on the page, I'm kind of like, I don't know how to feel about him, because I don't know anything about him. No one in like the Shatter Me fandom or whatever talks about him. I don't know what the situation is, so we're gonna figure it out together. That is the whole gist of what I have for Unravel Me, and it is now like 10:03. So let's start my timer. I'm just gonna use my watch, because why not? Start, and wow, okay, I can't even, it's upside down, but whatever. It started, my timer. My timer has started, so I'm going to continue reading this book. I'm not gonna bother starting from the beginning. I think I've understood what happens in the first 15 chapters of this book, but we'll see. We'll see. And I'll update you when I update you. I'm only like an hour into this challenge, and I already need to make myself a chai latte, because I don't know why I'm so tired today. But let's get started. I've gotten to about like 50% of the way into Unravel Me. Also, my iPad's like right here on my coffee table. Also, my water bottle is back. My giant water bottle is back. Honestly, I am having a fun time reading this compared to the first book. I think the first book is more of a romance book with like dystopian elements. Adam and Juliet were just like making out a lot in that book and then like running away with each other. This one genuinely like feels like an actual dystopian book. Reading this has jogged my memory of what's happening. So there's the reestablishment. So that is like the current government system that they're living under. And then the resistance is called Omega Point. So now my brain has started to piece things together. In this book, it's really more about like Juliet trying to understand her powers, and pretty much all of the other characters, like Adam, him trying to understand his power, and then us getting introduced to Kenji and sort of his role in like the resistance and all that. We meet Castle, like the head of the resistance. I feel like the stakes just feel higher in this book. The first book, I wasn't expecting it to have so much romance. I thought like the romance would be more of a slow burn. The romance came pretty quick between Adam and Juliet. I know that they don't end up together, spoiler alert. Not that like you care, but I feel like Adam is just this character that it's like you are introduced to him, you still know like nothing about him. Like all I know is like he has a little brother who he wants to take care of, and he mopes a lot, and then like but then like Juliet also mopes a lot, so I see why they're good for each other. There's like a part in this book where it's like Kenji literally puts Juliet in her place, and I was like, honestly, thank God you did that, because I don't think I could like read like this book if like Juliet just didn't become like self-aware. The first half of this book, she's just feeling sorry for herself. She's feeling guilty about everything. She's just like throwing herself this pity party. And then Kenji's finally like, girl, like it's like you're acting selfish right now. Yes, you've been through some trauma, but like what makes you think we all haven't been through some trauma as well? Kenji's still my favorite character. Like he's the character that is getting me through this book. It'll probably take me like a bit more than an hour to, probably another hour and a half to get through this next 50%. And then I don't know if it's a novella after this or if it's the third book. Hi, I'm back. It's been only like maybe 20 minutes since I last updated you, but I got to the chapters where just a lot of things have been revealed. It turns out that Adam and Aaron have the same dad. So they're half brothers, and big reveal, big shock, all that stuff. And so again, lots of emotions happening, a lot of conflicting feelings, especially with Adam. Adam is just going through it in these books. Like, not that Adam has a ton of characterization to begin with, but like this man is just going through it. So I'm just like, okay, I feel bad, but at the same time, I feel like he might get like a whole Tamlin arc in this book series. So I'm trying not to be like super attached to him. But yeah, it's like there's a whole thing with Aaron and his dad, and then there's Adam with his dad. They happen to have the same dad, so overall daddy issues. And then like you can also tell there's like that underlying love triangle. At this point of the book, Juliet and Adam have broken up just because like the last time Juliet tried to touch Adam, she almost killed him. Adam can't have shit. And then we have Aaron and his daddy issues. Aaron also liking Juliet and, you know, begging his dad not to kill Juliet. What do they see in Juliet? Don't really know. But what I love about this book is just how Juliet describes these guys. It's like when she talks about Aaron, she literally has a whole chapter in this book where she just describes Aaron. Like, she's like, this man was like a Greek god made out of marble. And then the way she describes Adam, she's just like, yeah, the man's hot. Like, I'm like, even if I didn't see spoilers of this book series and all of that, I think I know who she would have ended up with. I'm just like, girl, we get it. He's a white guy with green eyes. Let's move on. Let's get somewhere, please. So now we're actually getting somewhere in this book, but it's just that has been on my mind since I started reading this book. I know, like, this whole challenge is supposed to be about, like, how many books can you read, like, in 24 hours, but I'm just like, I need to unpack this. Like, I need to unpack this with someone. These books are so funny because you can tell, like, you can just, it's so 2000s, like 2010 dystopian coded. There's supposed to be a lot of political themes, which I guess there is in this book, but really what's making you read this is the romance subplot. I'm reading this a lot slower than I thought I would be. We're 2 hours in now. We are 2 hours in, so, where am I? Okay, I'm at, like, 60%, so I'm still making good time. It's just, like, this book is really funny. Like, there's nothing more that turns a girl on in these dystopian books than a man with scars on his back. Okay, so I just finished Unravel Me, and now I have to go charge my iPad because it's at 18%. The battery life isn't as great as it could be, so charging it, and then I'm probably going to read this while I wait for my iPad to fully charge. Okay, so overall thoughts of Unravel Me. Honestly, I liked it better than the first one. I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion or not. I just like that, like, the plot is going somewhere, but there were a lot of moments in this that I was just having, like, a lot of secondhand embarrassment, especially for Juliet. I know that, like, in this one, she's really pushing the Juliet and Aaron romance, which I'm like, I guess, like, I still don't see the Aaron Warner hype, you know, but I know the book girlies love a morally gray, misunderstood character, so that's what he has going for him. I definitely enjoyed this one a lot better than, like, the first one. I just also love how, like, at this Omega Point, okay, first off, when I, like, picture Omega Point, all I'm picturing is the SWAT headquarters. Like, if you know what the show SWAT is, I believe it's on Netflix, it's a CBS show. Every time I hear of, like, Omega Point, I literally just think of the SWAT headquarters for some reason for this book. And, like, the way that they get dressed and all of that, I'm just like, that's exactly how the people in SWAT get dressed. So, like, that's all I've been thinking. Like, every time I read something in Omega Point, I'm just, like, thinking about, like, the SWAT headquarters for some reason. For, like, a police cop crime drama, you know, it's like they have a very futuristic looking office. Don't know if actual SWAT headquarters looks like that, but anyway, it kind of gives dystopian, and so every time I think of Omega Point, I think of the SWAT headquarters, so that's one thing. And also, I just love how melodramatic everything is in the book, because like they can't have one conversation to themselves. Like, no one can have a private conversation at this place. Like, every time something gets revealed, someone is walking in on, like, the characters. It doesn't matter if it's Juliet and Adam or Juliet and Aaron or whatever. It's like, they can't have 1 ounce of privacy at this place without, like, someone else knowing the tea. And I think that's so funny. Like, I honestly love the melodramaticness of these books. Like, every single time something gets revealed, it's either like someone walks in on someone or it's revealed to everyone else in the place. For a dystopian book, it is very soap opera-y. And I kind of like, I have to eat that up. And so yeah, those are my thoughts on Unravel Me. I definitely, again, enjoyed it more than the first book. I have to see which book I need to read next. I don't know if it's a novella or the third book, but once my iPad charges up, I'm probably going to read that. But yeah, right now I'm going to read Throne of the Fallen. I'm like more than halfway through this book now, and honestly, don't really know what's going on. Like, okay, I've been reading this book for like 3 weeks. I started reading it, then I took a break, and then I'm back to reading it. I need to rate Unravel Me. I need to rate that. If you want to follow me on Storygraph or Fable, links in the description. I'm not a Goodreads girly, so I like stopped using Goodreads like a year ago. I believe we're getting close to my 100th book this year, which 100 books is my reading goal for this year. So but yeah, so in this vlog we might get to see what my 100th book is, so that's exciting. But yeah, going to get, there's a fruit fly here. Okay, we're gonna get started on this one, or continue reading this one, I guess. And yeah. So I read about 100 or so pages of this book, and I realized that like this is like a 600 page book almost, and so it's like the amount that I have left is like equivalent to like another like Shatter Me series book. So I think I'm gonna get started on like reading the next Shatter Me series book again. I also paused my timer for like a bit right now just because I think I'm gonna take like a 20-minute break or so, just because I've been looking at words for the past 6 hours and that does a lot to you. So I'm gonna take a little break and then we are going back to reading some more. I just searched up which books I need to be reading next for the Shatter Me series, and so the next book is a novella, the novella Fracture Me, and I believe this one is from Adam's point of view, and then the book after that is Ignite Me, and that is the third book in the Shatter Me series. So going to get started on those 2 books. I think it's only going to take me about an hour to read Fracture Me. I don't know how long it is. If it's a novella, it's probably around 100 pages to 150 pages, so probably about an hour. Don't know, but and then Ignite Me, I feel like it's about the same amount of pages as Unravel Me. So going to get started on those, and let's see how far. I also need to unpause my timer, so let's do that. Timer has started. Let's go. The novella wasn't that long. It took me at most like 20 minutes to read. So it pretty much, most of it just like, it's just the events that happened in Unravel Me, but from like Adam's perspective. Honestly, I don't mind Adam as a character. Again, like, do I think Tahereh Mafi, do I think she could have done a lot more with his character? Absolutely, because from the first book to the second book, he's practically still the same character. Not much character development, but how many? Okay, this is about the same length as Unravel Me. Like, the characters, like, I can tolerate them enough to, like, read all these books about them. Do I like Juliet as a character? Not really. I don't see what either of these guys see in her. So, like, reading all of this from Juliet's perspective, I'm like, I guess. But, yeah, I don't know. Kenji is just... he's probably the best character in these books. Okay, so I got to chapter 8 of Ignite Me, and I finally figured out why Aaron annoys me a bit. It's not because he's a morally gray character. Like, that is fine. Like, his actions and his motivations make sense to me. It's just the way he speaks, just something about it irks me. Like, the cadence of how he speaks in these books annoys me. I get that his upbringing was in the government, it was in a role of leadership, like, you know, he has a very political way of speaking, and so it sounds very, you know, the grammar is always correct, and it sounds very, you know, like how politicians speak. But when he speaks in my mind, he just reminds me, this is gonna sound so unhinged. So I'm so sorry if you're like a really big fan of these books, because I don't know if you'll be able to unthink of this after I say it. But the way he speaks reminds me of the character Neville Papperman from iCarly. Like, just that character, because that character has always, like, spoken really weirdly in my mind, and the way Aaron's, like, dialogue is written reminds me of the way that character speaks. That's what has been annoying me about Aaron Warner. I figured it out. Like, I understand why, like, some of the girlies, like, I understand why the girlies, like, have a fascination with Aaron Warner online and all that. Like, I understand it now, but, like, I personally don't see it. Like, for me, he's not doing much for me as a character. Like, there are plenty of other characters in books that I think do what he's doing a bit better. Like, for example, Jax from Once Upon a Broken Heart. Him and Aaron Warner, again, very similar characters, morally gray and all of that, but I think Jax is just written better as a character than Aaron. Again, like, this is 2010 dystopian. The dialogue is just very cheesy. I hate how Aaron's dialogue is written. Like, it's just like, it's not turning me on him, it's turning me off him. So I just ate and I made it to about 40% of the way through Ignite Me. And usually, okay, anytime I read a series, you know, I feel like the third book is when a lot of, like, the emotions kick in. And so there's a lot of drama happening in this book right now. Juliet is realizing that Warner maybe isn't as bad of a guy as he seems. Kenji and Juliet end up finding each other again, each thinking they were dead. I wish that part sort of lingered a bit more, but at the same time, just reading the first 10 chapters of just Juliet and Warner was actually driving me insane. So I'm so glad Kenji came and saved the day, because that was rough. I was trying to get through that as quick as possible. So now Adam's in the picture. Again, Adam realizes that Juliet isn't dead. And so obviously he's having conflicting emotions about it, and then also more conflicting emotions knowing that Juliet cares for Warner, and now they're all just fighting. Like, Warner shows up to where they're hidden, and now they're all just fighting. I don't know, like, there's too much testosterone in this book right now, and I think all of them are idiots. Like, I'm just like, y'all are in a love triangle right now. Meanwhile, people are dying. People are dying. Like, I do think Adam brings up a lot of good points, but the thing is, he's acting like an idiot. So, like, of course, no one's taking him seriously. I agree with Adam for most of the stuff he's saying, not all the things he's saying. Like, once we get into, like, the him loving Juliet territory, that's when I'm kind of like, whoa, like, let's chill out a bit. I know, like, Juliet has grown since the first book, but Girlie's still a shy little timid little thing who's, like, also very naive and, like, also kind of spoiled in a sense. Like, I mean, like, I don't know. Like, again, like, I have conflicting feelings about Juliet as a main character. I'm 40% of the way through, and they're just fighting still, and I need them to not fight now. Like, I'm kind of getting bored of this fighting. Literally. Not Ian spitting bags. It is like a soap opera, but with worse acting. I just finished reading Ignite Me, and it went by, like, quicker than I thought it would, but also, like, why was this book so melodramatic? Like, why were all the characters just going off at each other? It was insane. Okay, like, also, the low-key, like, the character assassination of Adam was crazy. Like, again, not that he had much character to begin with, but I was like, how did it go downhill? Like, from the baseline that we already had. Kenji carried this book on his back. Like, if Kenji was not in this book, I probably would have DNF'd it. Juliet, she's growing on me, but I have questions about her being the leader of this resistance now that she also, like, killed the leader or whatever of the reestablishment, aka, like, Aaron, Adam, and James's dad, which, like, I'm glad they finally addressed, like, I'm glad that, like, Aaron and, like, learns that he has brothers, but at the same time, I'm just like, that still came on so quickly, and again, like, the romance comes so quick in this book. Like, it's practically just, like, insta-love, like, for these books. Because I'm just like, what do you mean you like Adam first, and then you're not feeling it with Adam, and then you meet, you know, Warner, and then you like Warner now? Like, I'm like, I don't know, like, Juliet moves fast. Anyways, I think the next book is it Restore Me? Is that the 4th book? I think I'm just gonna get started on that. I have 2 hours left of the 12 hours reading. So again, I still have another 12 hours tomorrow for reading. So, we'll see. I'm pretty sure I can finish the book series. So I have like 26 minutes left, and I'm about 50% of the way through this book. This whole book so far has literally just been Juliet and Aaron's relationship issues. I mean, Kenji, he's starting to get more of a plot, so can't complain about that. But, like, for the most part, it's mostly, like, Aaron and Juliet being like, okay, maybe, like, we don't know each other, like, as well as we think. And then more stuff is coming about, so, like, we're entering sort of, like, part 2 of the Shatter series. Like the first 3 books feel like an actual like trilogy that like kind of wraps up, and then this one feels like we're being introduced to like a new plot based off of the aftermath that happens from the last book. One thing about this book series is like they're always going to have secrets, and then the secrets are going to blow up in their faces, and then they're going to get mad at each other that they kept these secrets, and then they'll forgive each other somehow after insulting each other, and then it'll be happily ever after. Like, again, that's just like my theory on what's gonna happen in this book. So I'm 50% of the way through. I have 20 or so minutes left, so I'm gonna push through and see how much of this I can get through. Okay, so I've made it to about 65% of the way through this book, and the only commentary I have is these teenagers are way too horny to be running a country. Good morning, everyone. It is the next day. It's 7:45 right now, and I'm going to get started on day 2 of reading. So I have 12 hours to go, so we're going from 8 to 8. I'm not used to waking up this early in the morning. Not that it's even that early. It's like literally like 8 a.m. I look like an egg right now because I could not be bothered to do my makeup today. But I have to boil some water because I think I'm just going to make myself a cup of green tea, some caffeinated tea. And yeah, let's have a good reading day today. I just finished reading Restore Me. The only thought I have about that ending is, first off, what the fuck? But second, overall, this book had me screaming. If you know, you know. But it had me screaming in such a bad way. Most of this book is about Aaron and Juliet's relationship issues, and them realizing that maybe we don't know as much about each other than we thought we did. We learn that in this book that Juliet's life or her memory from before has been wiped, and that she's actually the daughter of 2 of the supreme commanders of the Oceania continent or whatever. And so pretty much in this book, all of the children of these supreme commanders from each continent visit Juliet because since she killed Aaron's dad, now she's become the supreme commander of North America, which is in a way kind of crazy, but considering the current events that have occurred in the world as of recently, like literally a convicted felon has been elected president of the United States. You know, I'm also kind of like, you know, that's actually like, that's not as crazy as it sounds. But yeah, so pretty much Juliet is trying to step into this role of Supreme Commander of North America, but literally, when does she have time to do her job? Because in this entire book, she is not doing her job as Supreme Commander. The first half of this book is her being horny with Aaron, and then the second half is her being mad at Aaron. So, like, with all of her relationship issues, like, when does she have actual time to be running this continent, you know? And so, like, literally, like, she goes under a lot of, like, character development is a strong word. She's trying to figure out who she is. That's what I'm trying to say. She's trying to figure out who she is in this book after realizing that you know, it's like her memories have been wiped. She was literally like she was adopted, and then she was abused by her adoptive family, and then she was forced into an insane asylum. So obviously, like, her learning all this stuff, like, she should be rightfully upset. I get that. It takes Aaron a while to put the pieces together, but then he realizes what happens as well, and then she gets mad at Aaron for lying to her, and Aaron's kind of like, I mean, I only pieced this stuff together myself yesterday because Castle made me. But, yeah, like, I understand, okay, I understand why people like Aaron Warner as a character. I would say this book is what changed my mind about him. I feel like it's mostly because we get his point of view in this book, because it's dual point of view. For once, I personally like reading dual point of view because I like the perspectives of lots of characters. I know some people don't like that, but for me, I think it just made Aaron a stronger character, and it also made Juliet a weaker character, because like every time it would like reach a point in the book where I'm just like, Juliet needs to get a hold of herself. Like, I would be like, okay, like, this is, like, understandable. Would I say it's justified? No. But, like, her reacting to different things and her, like, having these reactions to, you know, to Aaron lying to her and all that, like, I'm like, okay, they're understandable. Her running away, again, I don't really know where they live in this book, like, technically, I think it's California, because she runs to Long Beach. So, like, her running away and all that, her having to figure out, you know, sort of what's going on, what's in her head, like, that is understandable. But then it's like every single time she would confront, like, Aaron about these things, like, she would just bring up their relationship. She would get mad at the wrong thing, I feel like. She'd be like, Nazira, oh, love Nazira, by the way. Nazira literally tells her, she's just like, the Supreme Commanders have sent their kids because they want to destroy your sector, you know? It's like, that should be the thing that, like, she should be mad about, but no. She goes to Aaron, barely tells him this information, by the way. Like, he has to learn this from Nazira, I think. But she just brings up their relationship problems and, like, him lying to her about him not telling her that he had a girlfriend. I'm just like, girl, people are literally going to die. Like, you have other problems to worry about. And yet, like, this is what you're concerned about, of Aaron lying to you? Like, okay, like, I think we're focused on the wrong issues here. So, like, right when, like, Juliet, in a way, kind of gets her shit together, it just, like, it goes downhill. Like, it's like, I'm just like, okay, like, we're getting to a point where, like, reading this, I was like, okay, we're getting to a point where I'm like, okay, I can kind of, like, back up Juliet as a character. Straight to the bottom again. She just, like, really pissed me off in this book. I just hate books that have female characters that make me, like, that I hate. Like, it's like, I want to be a girl's girl, but some of these books, it makes it impossible for me to be a girl's girl. Like, I'm all for women's rights and I'm all for women's wrongs, but, like, if you're making me side with all the male characters in this book, there's something not right. Because I like, in this book, like Nazira as a character. I think she's cool. Do I like Juliet as a character? No, I do not. Like, and her being the main narrator really kind of pisses me off. Again, Kenji, only one with critical thinking skills this book. Does he speak out of turn sometimes? Absolutely. But it's like, at least he's like, will humble the character. He's like, okay, enough about your relationship problems. We actually need to get to the source of whatever the hell is going on, you know? It's like, you need to get your shit together. Like, he's the character for that. But I do think that, like, in these books, we spend so much time on the things that, like, don't really matter, that when it gets to the part that does matter, it's, like, rushed over. Like, the ending of this book, I would say, like, she kills half the characters, that were introduced in the previous book. So I'm like, okay. But now I'm just like, well, what now? And then I don't know, like, Adam and James show up twice in this book, which I'm like, I really kind of wish I saw them more, because first off, they're Aaron's half-brothers, so I kind of wanted, like, the more, like, familial aspect between them, like, the part where, like, Adam and, like, Aaron are kind of, like, bonding over the death of their father and them not knowing how to, like, come to terms with it. Like, are they mad about that he's dead? Are they relieved that he's dead? Like, they're those conflicted feelings, them trying to figure out, should we tell James about his father, or should we just keep it a secret, you know? Like, I like those scenes, and I wish there were more of them in this book. First off, I know, like, this is, like, YA, and so these books have to be, like, they don't have to be condensed. Actually, I don't know why these books are so short, when I feel like there could have been a lot more done in these books just related to plot, or maybe take out the 50 scenes where Juliet is having a mental breakdown. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, 5 mental breakdowns, like, in a single book would be fine. But no, like, she has one every other chapter. The ending was so rushed, like, it was so abrupt, and that, like, Juliet literally kills these people because she screams, like, and she kills them not meaning to, or whatever. And, like, yeah, half of the people we're introduced to are dead. Adam and James are just gone. And then she gets taken back to her childhood bedroom by her biological parents. And then she realizes that, like, she grew up with all of the Supreme Commander kids and all that. So the next couple books are gonna be her, you know, starting another revolution. I don't know, like, her trying to figure out, you know, her life, sort of what gives all these people powers and all that. Like, I can totally see where the book is headed now, but I'm just like, there are so many unanswered questions and all of that. And I feel like with this book, it's like, I like the characters when they're not being stupid, but the thing is, they're being stupid 80% of the time. So then, like, the other 20% is like a gift when I'm reading this. So yeah, not me being heated over this. I was gonna finish this book, but I think I'm going to, like, wait on this for a while. I'm gonna read a novella, and then we're going to see how I feel about it. I think the novella is next. I think if I read the novella, that'll be my 100th book. This rant ended up being like 12 minutes. This is gonna be a long video, you guys, because I have so many thoughts about this series. Now, like, the first 3 books, I was kind of like, yeah, okay. This one pissed me off. Like, don't piss me off. The next book I have to read is Shadow Me, and it's the Kenji novella, so I'm actually fine with it being my 100th book. So yeah, we're gonna read that next. I just spent the past 20 minutes writing a review of this book on Fable, so if you want to check out my written review of this book, go to Fable and like it. Link will be down below. Otherwise, I'll put a screenshot somewhere on here, probably here, of just, like, a little bit of what I wrote. But yeah, this book got me heated. So okay, so I personally think everything should be told in Kenji's point of view, because that novella 8, that being my 100th book, I would say, if we're including the novellas, it's still reading. They're only like 60 pages long, but you know what? It's fine. So I'll take back what I said about the ending for the other one. from Restore Me. I mean, I do think that it was still rushed, but now reading the novella, I understand what the author was doing. Again, could have been longer. Like, it could have been a bit longer. I feel like the action just, like, comes out super quickly, but anyways, I believe the next book is Defy Me. Look at me reading up ahead. Like, look at me. I know what I'm reading next. I feel like I've been sitting on, like, in my living room for, like, this whole video, and it's just because, like, I'm home alone right now. Usually I don't get the luxury of being able to sit in this living room without, like, a TV blasting or something. So yeah, but this video is literally just gonna be me sitting in my living room the entire time. So thank you for tuning in. I'm gonna get started on Defy Me next. I don't think we need another time lapse of me reading, so I think I'll just pop in when I get the chance and let you know my thoughts. But yeah, we're gonna get started on Defy Me. Coming to you from my iPad real quick because I needed to show you my phone, but look at that. 100 books met. Yay, yay. I met my reading goal this year. Got the kanji point of view again, yes! Okay, I just finished reading Defy Me. I have more than 6 hours left of this reading challenge, so I'm halfway through. And I pretty much just have the 2 novellas and then the last book in the series, so I'm gonna let my iPad charge because it's at like 20% right now. I will say that Defy Me, in a way, made up for the agony that I had to read in the previous book that Juliet and Aaron's relationship problems were causing me. Because, like, I would say Restore Me is my least favorite book. And so Defy Me, in a way, it made up for it because we just got a lot more context as to, like, what happened between Aaron and Juliet in the past, or I guess I should say Ella now. I don't know, I'm just gonna call her Juliet. We learned that pretty much these two have known each other, like, since they were young. Ella is the daughter of the supreme commanders of the... Is it Oceania? Is that how you say it? Is it is it the Oceania or the Oceania? Oceania? Is it Oceania? However you call it. She's from New Zealand. We learned that, yeah, they've known each other since they were young. For her whole life, Juliet has practically been under this, like, government, like, science experiment. That's the easiest way to describe it. And so they pretty much put her under a lot of tests. They ended up wiping her memories and all of that, and practically they take her away, and one of the main reasons why they take her away is because of her relationship with Aaron. Like, they've always just kind of ended up loving each other and finding their way to each other, even when their, like, memories were erased from each other. They've always, like, they're practically in this star-crossed lover situation, which is very much on the nose, a little bit too on the nose with the name Juliet. I really don't want this to become a recap of what happens in each book, but yeah, it's like this one is more like flashback heavy, I would say. Kenji is really the only one who, like, helps us progress a little bit in the plot. The previous book ends with the stuff that happens in the symposium, and then they're all trying to figure out, everyone survives, by the way. They're trying to figure out what happened to Juliet, what happened to Warner. They're just gone. They don't know what happened to each of them. Stuff gets revealed again, and one of the big revelations is that Anderson, Aaron Warner's dad, and I guess Adam and James's dad, is alive. He has the ability to regenerate. Aaron Warner's daddy issues are just never gonna end. I understand that, like, they want Anderson to sort of be one of, like, the main villains. Like, the main villains are technically the Supreme Commanders, I would say, because, like, they're the ones that are doing all these things to these teenagers and all of that. But at the same time, it's sort of like him out of all of them, like, he's kind of like the main big bad that just keeps, like, appearing. I feel like there are more, like, characters that are more interesting than him. Evie, for example, like, she was interesting, but, like, we all know what happened to her. And so, yeah. And then the ending of this book as well kind of took me aback. Like, I was sort of like, the main problem I have with these books is that the endings always feel so rushed because she's trying to set up the next book. Kenji, Nazira, Juliet, and Aaron, they hop on a plane because Nazira can fly a plane, and they're just, like, on this plane ready to go back home, and then all of a sudden their plane gets shot down, and then they have to jump out of the plane and use, like, their flying abilities, Nazira's flying ability to land, and they end up landing on, like, this island or something, and then it's, like, all of a sudden, like, Castle shows up, and his daughter's just like, yeah, sorry we had to shoot your plane down, but, like, welcome to, like, our resistance. And I'm just kind of like, huh? Like, okay, I guess, I know we need to progress, like, into the thing, but, like, that was a bit much. Like, I had to suspend my disbelief. Was this the only way we could set this up? Anyways, and then end of the book, Aaron, Juliet, more love things. He proposes to her. They throw him a birthday party, and everyone is there except for Adam and James, which I'm just like, I don't know what happened to those two characters. Is Adam my favorite character? No, but I do feel like one person needs to, like, talk about Adam, because I don't think anyone talks about Adam. Anyways, like, not me writing for this character, I don't even like that much, but, like, at the same time, I feel like his trauma is very much overlooked in these books, because he also has the same father as Aaron. His father has pretty much been controlling his life, and he grew up in really bad conditions. And then he also learned that his father is regenerating. Like, it's just like a whole mind fuck also on Adam's behalf. And yes, was Adam being a jerk to Juliet for a lot of the books? Absolutely. And I'm not shipping them or anything. Like, I don't think they would have been good together anyways. Like, it took me a while as well to figure out if Aaron was a good fit for Juliet. I feel like his trauma is overlooked, and I don't know, like, I just feel bad. Adam is kind of getting the Tamlin treatment and the Dane treatment from Fourth Wing. If you know, you know. Those are my thoughts on Defy Me. It's, like, just crazy to me how, like, 5 books in, now I finally like Juliet as a character. So I was like thinking, I was like, okay, maybe my reviews of, like, the previous books were a bit too harsh, and I'm just like, but were they? Like, Juliet has always been an unreliable narrator, and now that she has her memories back, obviously now she's going to, like, or I shouldn't say obviously now, but, like, now that her memories are back, she's now more tolerable, if that makes sense. So I've literally been sitting on my butt all day, so I decided to come to my basement and walk on the treadmill. I know my basement looks creepy, but you know what? It's doable. It's doable. It works. And so I'm gonna get started on reading the novella Reveal Me. I did take a break for a bit, so I still have like 5 hours left of this reading challenge. So yeah, so I'm just gonna walk on the treadmill, read this novella, maybe read the next book on here if I finish it fast. If you're doing this challenge with me, if you're reading the Shatter Me series with me, remember to take some breaks, get your exercise in, do your exercise while you're doing this challenge, and yeah, I'll update you when I update you. Okay, so I made it about 45% of the way through Imagine Me, which is the last book in the series. I will be taking a break at 6 because I completely forgot it is Monday, which means it's 911 Lone Star night. I'm a procedural drama girly, and so I have to be watching my procedural dramas live like everyone else. But anyways, my updates. This one, honestly, very action-packed, very much a finale book, which I love. I love action-packed things. Unfortunately, Juliet is like incapacitated for most of this book. So again, not that she's my favorite character or anything, but her chapter's been really easy to skim through, read through. But Kenji, main point of view, love him, love him. His chapter's been eating up. But this recent chapter, it has been revealed what happened with Adam and James. So James is now in the, what is this place called? Their new resistance resort thing. I forget what it's called. But James is back in their hands, and it was revealed that Adam, he gets the Tamlin plot. He gets the Tamlin plot. He gets the Dane plot. Like, I clocked that. But again, do feel bad for the guy because it was revealed that he let them take his power. And for those of you who know, for those of you who don't know, I guess, but his power is that he is able to disable other people's abilities. And so again, that's how he was like able to touch Juliet and all of that. And so he traded in his power for James's safety, but then their dad being a dick, you know, he's like, he went on his word, and he pretty much put James in danger and all of that. So we don't know where Adam is. So we don't know where Adam is. We don't know what's happening with him. Anderson now has Juliet and has, again, rewired her brain, so now she's a soldier under him. I'm just reading this and I'm just like, are Kenji and I the same person? Like, literally every time Kenji does something, I'm just like, oh, he ate with that. Like, oh yeah, like, he's like, I swear, like, he's the only character with, like, critical thinking skills and, like, can communicate with people. Like, all of the other characters suck at communicating, but not Kenji. Kenji's the one with the critical thinking skills and the good communication skills. Like, good on him. Anyways, but yeah, reading this, I'm just like, am I Kenji? Like, are we the same person? I'm going to continue reading this while I make myself dinner. And we're just gonna continue reading the entire night. Also, y'all, for this vlog, I thought I would, like, look a lot cuter, but today's just not that day. Like, today, I was like, this is business only. Like, I'm booked and busy. I'm ready to read. And so, don't come at me for my looks, all right? Don't judge. Just finished watching an episode of 911 Lone Star, and now I'm going to try and finish my book. Okay, so just got to the last page of Imagine Me, and we have an hour and 15 minutes still. So I'm gonna take that time to read the last novella. And I'm just gonna digest my thoughts of what I thought of this book. I think having Kenji as like a main narrator really saved this book because I feel like Juliet's plot wasn't as strong, mostly for the fact that the first half she's incapacitated and the second half she's a super soldier. And then again, I had this complaint with the other books. Same complaint is that it wrapped up so fast. Kenji and Eren and Nazira plan to break Juliet out of wherever she's being held by the Supreme Commanders, whatever. Like, they plan to break her out. And so their plan ends up working. And then they realize that, like, Juliet has now been turned into a super soldier, blah, blah, blah. Eren's like, I got this, you know, let me fight her kind of thing. They end up fighting for a bit, and then he leads her to a room, and then she comes back to herself, and then go to another room. They find her sister, her dad's there. Her sister kills the dad, and then Juliet kills her sister. Like, it's a whole, like, thing. Like, I'm, like, that's how quick it happens. It happens as quick as I can tell you. Everything is glossed over, like, really quickly. Like, the stuff with Adam, it's sort of like, they make a whole big deal out of it, and this is why I kind of, like, hate it when there's so many characters, and especially, like, when there's, like, a character that plays a pivotal part in, like, the first books, and then they're just, like, barely spoken of towards the end. It's sort of like, what happened there for you to, like, hate Adam that much? Like, not that, like, Adam is a perfect character. I feel like I'm the only one riding or dying for Adam, but the way they wrapped up kind of his storyline was really weird, considering, like, he was a vital character in the first, like, I would say 3 books. And then, obviously, I think a lot of this book and all that had to do more with, like, the fan service of, like, just, like, Eren and Juliet and all that, because there were so many moments between them, especially, like, Eren Warner, like, he practically just mopes around. Like, he's just upset that Juliet is gone, and he's upset because, like, they just got engaged and all that. It's really shoved down your throat that it's, like, these 2 characters are in love with each other. You know, they're very much star-crossed lovers, like, in every universe or whatever, like, they're going to end up with each other no matter what. And I'm fine with that. It's just, I don't know. Like, I understand the Aaron Warner hype now. Personally, for me, he's not one of my favorite book boyfriends or anything. I don't know. I think it's just I'm too old to read this book series. I feel like I'm just too old to be here. Like, am I too old to be here? Because I don't know. And I think I'm also, like, complaining a bit more about this book series because it is very YA. Like, this book series is very YA. So it's like most of these books, I believe, are 300 to 400 pages long. And I feel like there's a lot of content that it's like, they're super easy to read. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, again, like, I'm doing this video because you can literally read this book series in 24 hours. But it's like, it also just feels too simple for me. I wish there was more content. I wish more characters would be included in all of that. I'm gonna go read the novella. I believe the novella is more of just like an extended epilogue of this book. Okay, guys, I have 25 minutes left, and I might have got distracted for 20 minutes, so if I don't finish the novella in 20 minutes, then I'll just add on the extra 20 minutes that I spent on my phone. My timer is finally done. Okay, so I got to pay... Actually, no, these pages aren't accurate. So I got 63% of the way through this novella. And honestly, this is like the longest novella I've read. And practically, it's just like an extended epilogue, at least 10 chapters or so of just Aaron and Juliet's wedding day, and I swear this is the longest wedding ever. Obviously I'm gonna finish, but I don't think it's worth me vlogging my reaction to the end of it. Okay, so hello, it is the next day and I'm coming on here to just wrap up this 24-hour reading challenge. And so again, I split this up into 12-hour parts. I did 12 hours on Sunday and then I did 12 hours yesterday, which was a Monday. And overall, I had a fun time doing it with the 12 hours. Again, I'm someone who it's like, when I hyperfixate on something, I hyperfixate on it. So I think that's why I could read a lot for 12 hours straight, and also having a goal of just reading one series also helped. So reading the Shatter Me series, finally read all of it. I finished the novella this morning. Pretty much about Juliet and Aaron's wedding day. Pretty much stuff happens on the wedding day. They can't get married and then they do get married, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. And like, from the tone of which I'm talking about this, you can kind of see my feelings towards Aaron and Juliet. Like, I think they're like fine characters, like they're characters that I can tolerate, but in the novella, for some reason, they're just acting very, like, again, kind of like uncharacteristic in my opinion at least, or maybe, I don't know what it is about them that like irks me in this novella, but I'm just like, they are genuinely kind of unbearable. If I was living at the sanctuary or whatever, like I just would not be able to deal with anything that happens between them. Also, I think Juliet's characterization's a bit all over the place. Aaron is pretty much the same. Again, his characterization has pretty much plateaued, and so like all he does is get into fights with other characters in this book, and then the other characters sort of say like, you're acting like a dick, and then he's kind of just like, I don't really care. And so I'm just like, you can't really do much with a character like that. We get more answers to what happens to the other characters. I think this novella is probably my least favorite out of all the novellas, just because the novellas aren't really novellas. Like, they're, I mean, I guess they are, but it's like they act very much as just like supplements to the main books that happen in this series. So it's like they just give you more information about certain characters and their thoughts and all of that. My overall thoughts of the Shatter Me series, though, personally to me, like, okay, I feel like I complained a lot in this video about stuff that happens, but I genuinely enjoyed reading this book series. Like, I would give this a whole, like, maybe a 4 stars overall for this series. Like, it's not my favorite series, but like there were elements of it that I really did enjoy reading about, and it did give 2011 dystopian series, like, it just, you know, it was like, it was very nostalgic reading it. But at the same time, there were just so many issues that I had with it that just could not be overlooked. Like, the plots were weird. I feel like for me, I'm just not a huge fan of tahereh mafi's writing, I meant. I'm not a fan of her writing, because a lot of the times she does show and not tell, and especially toward the end of her books. I've had this complaint for almost every single book she has written in this series. Her endings are so rushed and unsatisfying, because a lot of what she does, she's very formulaic in her writing, I would say. She loves to exposition dump, and she loves to like do shocking reveals. And so she does all these like exposition dumps, shocking reveals, like right before the climax happens. So then it's supposed to prep you for like getting excited about, oh my gosh, like what's gonna happen at the end of the book. And then the climax just kind of like, it happens. Like, it's sort of like you blink and you'll miss it. You know, like that's how fast her endings like go, because she needs to set up for the next book, which I understand that you're trying to set it up, but at the same time, like, you could do it in a way where it's like your endings don't feel like I'm reading just like a page of like Juliet telling me what's going on, right? Like, I feel like there could be a lot more detail. There could be a lot more chaos happening and all that, but it just feels like we rush over the chaos, we rush over the details, and she just tells it how it is. It's very straightforward. So I feel like it just doesn't get that emotional appeal and that emotional shock out of me when I read the endings of it. Like, I do get shocked, but it's mostly due to the fact I'm shocked that it ended so fast. I have like the two biggest complaints on Restore Me. I just could barely get through that book because of the relationship problems between Aaron and Juliet. But it was like, imagine me, I had so many problems with that one because, you know, it's like she was building up to this like very explosive ending, you know. It's like, this is the last book in the series. I was really truly expecting like this Avengers Assemble moment. Like, it's like you have multiple super powered individuals in this book series. We've met them, and yet they don't do that much at the end of it. Like, at the end of the novel, it's really just, okay, a little bit of Aaron and a lot of Juliet, who, you know, is ending the entire thing, which makes sense. But at the same time, I'm just like, you couldn't have like added like a little tiny subplot for the other characters. I get that if like your target audience are like people from ages like 12 to 16. I get that like the writing is supposed to be easy and easy to like read, I guess. But at the same time, I'm just like, there are a lot of like plot holes and things that were just rushed over super quickly that it's like, even with that age group, I feel like you could have just gone more into detail. I don't know. But also at the same time, I'm just like, am I just too old to be reading this? Like, is my age showing through this video? Because like I have a lot of critiques about this book series. So yeah, but honestly, if this was made into a TV show, I would eat it up, and I'm still surprised that this hasn't been made into a TV show yet. But at this point, it's sort of like, well, if they can adapt Uglies on a $20 budget, I'm pretty sure they could adapt this book series. Because, like, let's be honest, like, if you watched Uglies the movie, they literally had 3 sets. Like, they had a $20 like budget for sets. Because they literally had 3 sets, a green screen and a dream, and they made it work. For this, really, like, they could probably adapt it with the same amount of money. Like, they can just go over to the SWAT set, and that's the Omega Point, and then half of the characters, for half the series, the characters are turning invisible anyway due to Kenji and Nazira's powers. So it's like, you don't even need to show people on the screen. Like you can just have like voiceovers and sound effects for like half of the movie. I don't know why they haven't adapted this film yet. Like, if you need me to be a producer, I'm set. I'm ready. I read the whole series. This is video proof of me reading the whole series. So like, if you need me to be like a producer, a consultant on this movie, like if you need to figure out ways to like reduce costs but still make this like a movie magic effective like film, like I'm available. I'm here. Like we can work together and we can talk about it. But yeah, that was me doing the 24-hour reading challenge, I guess, and also just doing another themed video. I love killing 2 birds with 1 stone. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up before I start turning this into an elevator pitch again. If you made it this far, hopefully it was entertaining. Let me know if you want me to actually do like the proper 24-hour reading challenge where you mess up your sleep schedule. I just have to find like an actual like time to do that. And then let me know if you want me to read another dystopian series or a long book series and do a video like this with spoilers and all of that. I'm someone who just doesn't really do spoiler-free stuff. Let me know if you want me to read another dystopian book series. It doesn't even have to be dystopian. It could be fantasy, it could be romance. For your entertainment. I will do it, and I will tell you the plot of it. And And yeah, just let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video again. If you made it this far. Grammar, I have now lost my mind due to filming this video. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.